Have you heard of dragon's breath before? Maybe the breath of the dragon? Have you heard of dragon fire? Well, if you have any interest in those topics, you're definitely going to want to stick around to the end of the video to learn about how you can achieve the breath of the dragon. And if you're new here, merry meet and assalamu alaikum and welcome back to your daily dose of DragonFaether. My name is Azura DragonFaether, the Draconic Priestess, and I will be your host for today in learning how to breathe like the dragons or discovering your own dragon fire. So if you missed yesterday's episode, you won't want to miss it because I talked about how I had the dragons lead me to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes, you're gonna definitely want to see my journey to Islam, and if you've missed it, you can click the card up there or up there, wherever it's at, or you can hit the link in the description. But before we jump into today's video, it's very exciting because it begins with a Kundalini Awakening. What is a Kundalini Awakening? Very hot buzzword. And we actually discussed this experience of mine on my channel quite a long time ago. So if you have not seen it yet, definitely click the cards wherever they are and check out my Kundalini Awakening video because we're going to be diving a little bit deeper into it today. So you're going to want to stick around, leave a comment down below about your Kundalini Awakening if you've had one, or about how you want to have one, and let's just jump on into it. So first, let's talk about it. A Kundalini Awakening is essentially, in layman's terms, described as the coiled serpent of energy that sleeps at the base of our spine. And a Kundalini Awakening is when we have these moments of this energy shooting up through our energy sources and creating conscious awareness, or what some might consider God consciousness, or becoming a living God. But I'm definitely getting ahead of myself, okay? This energy is associated with sensuality and creative energy and passion and fire. So you're definitely going to want to learn more about it if you haven't already. We are more than happy to do a video about the Kundalini if you are interested. So leave a comment down below if you would like just a Kundalini video. But let's talk about how my experience with the Kundalini Awakening really set the stage for this part of my practice in Draconianism. So it's really exciting because this is a type of Draconian magic that I will be talking about today, which is kind of referred to as Drakonian Current. So that is why you will see the title the way it's titled. But the way that I first was introduced to Kundalini energy was via a ceremony that I attended many years ago. And this ceremony was hosted by a medicine man and a medicine woman, and I will leave their profiles linked down below if I can find them on the internet if they're still posting, because it's been a while. But the place that I went to was called Universal Consciousness 1111, and they kind of like hosted these like spiritual festival type things, but it's not festival like music. It was just a bunch of spiritual people got together and they had their booths or whatever, or their like tents where they offered services. And one of the services was this particular ceremony I'm speaking about. So we went into this tent and everybody was sitting around a circle, and you might have even seen pictures of me. I'll probably put it in the thumbnail, to be honest, but the thumbnail picture is me actually in the process of having a Kundalini Awakening within this ceremony. In this tent, we all sat around the circle, and the medicine man and the medicine woman, they had given us a mixture to consume. And I was very like, what is this? Okay. It was literally just raw cacao ground up into a powder and mixed with water. And we were told that before we started the actual ceremony, we needed to drink as much of it as we possibly could, if not the entire cup that we were given. So this is a type of earth medicine, and it is not hallucinogenic. So you will not have hallucinations on cacao. Okay, it's what chocolate's made out of, I know. Okay, but basically we were supposed to down this mixture. And as soon as we all finished our mixture, that is when we began the ceremony, which started with breathwork. And this is where the breath of fire, or the dragon's breath breathing technique, comes into play. And many of you guys have seen me do this in my videos when I channel dragons or when I channel deities or anything like that. It helps me oxygenate my system and bring forth the electric energy, super raising it up so I become more awakened and aware and attuned with my senses. And for those of you who are unaware of what the breath of fire or the dragon's breath breathing technique or breathwork technique is, this is how it is done. You take 2 really quick inhales, and then you exhale. And the quicker you do it, the more energized and healing you will access, is what the medicine man told us during the ceremony. So this is how we were supposed to continue breathing through the whole ceremony, like this. And that is the breath of fire, or the dragon's breath. And we had to continually do this. They told us not to give up. They told us to keep going until the ceremony was done. And this is what actually activated our energy. But you do have to be careful with this breathing technique, because you can accidentally hyperventilate if you don't balance your breath work properly. So take your time and really learn how to do this. Don't just jump into this breath work session like by yourself, okay? Like, I had a literal professional like guiding me doing this in the ceremony that I'm speaking about. And so when we, you know, were doing that, I started to feel tingly, and every part of my body started turning red, and I started sweating, and my heart rate started pounding, and I could hear it in my ears, and my face felt like it started to melt off. I'm serious. Like, it was so tingly, like even my nose was like on, like just buzzing with energy. And my hands, they started to do this weird thing. Like I couldn't move my hands. They started to look like this. And those of you guys who have potentially like done this type of ceremony before, you would absolutely know what I'm talking about. And I couldn't move my hands. My feet, I started to feel like the atoms were separating, and I started to get scared. I had never felt like this before. I was like, what is going on? But the medicine man leading the ceremony is like, I know you feel weird, keep going, you got this. The more deep breaths you take, the more healing you will receive. And that is what, you know, we did. So we tried our absolute best. But over and over and over and over again, while he was using the drum, like the journeying drum, and the medicine woman was using the crystal bowls, keeping us in tune with the rhythm of the ceremony, if you will. And that's when I started getting visions. And this was the craziest part of my experience, was how as soon as I felt like my body was literally so tingly, like the atoms were just starting to melt into the universe, I started to lose perception of my body, of my being, of my ego, and I started feeling expanded awareness. I started feeling like I was the earth herself. I started feeling like I was the universe herself. I started feeling like I was the void, and I started feeling like I ceased to exist. And that's when I started getting visions of dragons. Every single dragon that you could imagine surrounded me and surrounded Earth. And I saw visions of just rainbow array of different dragons, and they were all very, very intently watching me. Excuse me. And there was also all of the members of my spirit team. So not just the dragons, but any sort of deity that I worked with at the time. And there were some, you know, blank faces, if you will, that I do know now, like shout out to Pickle Chips. But there were so many different, you know, spiritual entities, if you will, that surrounded me, that were watching me intently and giving me visions of different types of practices, different types of like natural like cycles. Like I got visions of the seasons happening really quickly, and I had visions of, you know, how like everything is interconnected, like, you know, the neural network of our brains is the same way that the universe is. I started seeing as above so below, as below so above, they are of each other. And I didn't even really have all the words to explain what I was seeing. All I knew is that I couldn't move. I was genuinely paralyzed, stuck in this breath pattern, and I just kept having dragons come over and over and over me, and they would touch their talon on my third eye, and they would give me so many visions. And I would have, you know, like the nature, like I said, I had this like rainbow fire, you know, from what's it called, Avatar: The Last Airbender, you know? Spoiler alert. Okay, click away if you don't want to spoil it. But there is a scene where Zuko and or Aang from Avatar: The Last Airbender, they go to this like ancient civilization where they learn about dragons and they learn about rainbow fire. And when they pass the trial from the dragons go and they get swirled around with rainbow fire. This was something else that happened to me when I was having this experience, but instead of the rainbow fire like swirling around my being, I felt the rainbow fire swirling up my spine. The craziest thing I've ever experienced. It was so beautiful, and the entire time I just felt like electricity. I felt like pure raw energy. And slowly, you know, we started to come back down, and then the medicine man who was guiding us during our thing started saying, all right, now slow your breathing, like our breath of fire, and slowly come back into your being, and slowly like wiggle your body and stuff like that, and come back when you're ready. Open your eyes when you're ready. And that's honestly one of the most profound, if not the most profound experience of my entire like spiritual career. And ever since then, I recreate this type of ceremony by myself now, because I was able to learn how to do it in this ceremony, right? I don't really think you need the cacao to do this ceremony, but it's highly recommended because it's also going to ground you, and it's going to give you nutrients, and it's going to give you fluids before you do a type of practice like this. And you don't want to do this type of exercise on an empty stomach. You do not want to do this type of exercise when you're dehydrated. You do not want to do this type of exercise if you do not feel well, okay? So like that is like, I am not a professional with this kind of thing. I'm just sharing my experience, right? But I also have my notes here because I didn't want to miss anything. But when it came to this, it was really profound in the sense that it was literally dragons of all kinds. It was feathered dragons, it was sea serpents, it was regular snakes, it was lizards, it was literally the tiniest little dragon on the tip of my nail. Like all of them that you can think of, they were there for this vision. And that is when I started to really understand the power of dragonfire and what dragonfire really actually is. And after this experience, when I came out of it, I still could barely move my hands. I had such red cheeks, like I was so flush and tingly, and I could barely walk on my own feet. And I remember having to go to the bathroom so bad, and I literally could barely like feel my feet touching the ground. It was really insane, to be honest. I genuinely wonder why I felt that way to this day, but this was truly my first time ever tasting the breath of the dragon. And now I take that memory with me, and I also take this practice with me, and I use it throughout my practice as a dragon witch, and especially as a draconian practitioner. So let's get into the next part of the video, which is we're going to talk about the Drakonian Current, okay? So this is the forces of polar opposites, or genuinely the forces of anything within you, all coexisting. Not only within you, but within all of creation, okay? And you're going to see this Drakonian Current within the atoms as well. Excuse me. It's going to be this vibration. It's going to be this push, this pull, and it's in everything like yin and yang. And this Drakonian Current is what we tap into as practitioners of either dragon magic or draconian magic in order to help enlighten ourselves, as well as some people use it for magic, where they rise this energy up and they use it to cast their spells and create change in the world. Some people use it as a self-transformation tool, like I do. I use it as a nervous system regulation tool. It works phenomenally, okay? 10 out of 10 would recommend. And this current is, again, within all things. And you might even know about this current within the earth from the druids called ley lines. All of it is Drakonian Current. It is the electric, it's the electric thread, if you will, that ties all of us together. Some people would consider it plasma energy, if you will. These are just a couple different ways that many different groups describe Drakonian Current as we talk about it here on this channel. And let's see, we work on balancing these forces, this Drakonian Current, if you will. We work on balancing the polarities, not only within ourselves, but within our earth, within our universe, within each other. And when we start to consciously observe these natural forces within us, how I have the urge to yell at people sometimes, but I also have the urge to love people sometimes. Very, very rudimentary example, okay? Very, very like beginner level example. But when we try to observe each of these things, we start to see all of who we are. And many human beings, if not most of them, will completely ignore many parts of their Draconian current, like their shadow sides, or like the parts that they are not so proud of. And this is something that Draconians specifically choose to deep dive into, okay? It's all about embracing all facets of who you are, all the forces within you that mirror all the forces without you. This is what we focus on, this Draconian current. And when we balance it, the process of balancing this Draconian current, once we truly understand it and we're able to truly masterfully handle this and we experience the Kundalini Awakening, this is what we call Draconian Arcanum. And this is something that I haven't really seen talked about much, but it's truly when we are able to observe all these forces and we're able to consciously bring them into balance and balance ourselves and become so in alignment with natural law or the beat or the rhythm of the entire universe or the entire creation. This is what brings enlightenment or spirit light or spirit fire, as some people talk about it, but also what we refer to this here is the Kundalini Awakening, as well as God consciousness, specifically becoming the living God. When you do this enough, you start actively becoming a free agent of your own experience. And leave me a comment down below if you would like to learn more about Draconian Current and more about Draconian Arcanum. And here we also have this, right? The balance of all these forces is critical, especially within Draconian practices. And when I first had my Kundalini Awakening that I shared with you guys, the first time I tasted dragon's breath, if you will, I had no idea how to regulate it. I had no idea how to control it. I had no idea how to properly balance myself. I was just a girl at a festival going into somebody's tent looking for entertainment, if I am being 100% honest. I was not prepared for this, okay? I was not prepared for the Kundalini Awakening, wasn't prepared for the energy burst, and I was definitely not prepared for my life to change forever after that experience. But the truth is that the more we focus on disciplining ourselves in how we raise the Kundalini energy, this is what is effectively going to create for us a literal path to enlightenment. It is the discipline of being able to ground yourself, being able to observe these polar forces, of being able to consciously bring them into alignment and balance, which is the hardest part of the Draconian path. And we will definitely, trust me, I would love to deep dive into this. We haven't really talked much about it on the channel, but we have a little bit. And this is where it really begins, right? Step one, I'm going to give it to you guys today. If you're interested in the Draconian path, if you're interested in Draconian Current, or if you're interested in achieving Draconian Arcanum, then you're definitely going to want to focus first and foremost on your breathwork. Yes, you're going to want to practice your breathwork every single day. I recommend 3 times a day, when you wake up, sometime in the middle of the day, and before you go to bed. It is incredibly important for you to start understanding breathwork, and you don't want to jump into it. Like I said, I'm not telling you guys to jump into an intense practice. No, you need to be gradual. Start with 5 minutes, start with 3 minutes, okay? Start with 60 seconds, bestie. And it's about giving your all into it. It's about seeing how you feel. It's about grounding yourself before and after. And it's not about losing control. A lot of people think that the Draconian path is a chaotic path. It has been reframed that way by some really egotistical people. I'm looking at you and you know who you are. But it is definitely, and never was originally, like a dark path. The only reason why it gets called a left-handed path is because we face our shadows. But it was never about dominance. It was never about the ego. It was never about self-worship. It was always about discipline. It was always about alignment. And it was always about enlightenment, okay? And anyone else who is being weird about what they're talking about, just ask them why they believe what they believe, and I promise you it will be delusional, okay? Because it's really not that serious. All right, this is not an edgelord competition, okay? Like, this is literally just a discipline to improve the self, to evolve the spirit, and to embrace all of the facets of who we are, to become the living God. And becoming the living God has been so misconstrued, especially with things like TikTok, especially with things like the weird occult places that you'll find online. Okay, these original ideals, these original philosophies have been absolutely corrupted. And this is why we talk about soul corruption on this channel. I know it's a little spicy, but I'm more than happy to talk more about how people actually really corrupt their souls with this path, because they're absolutely not ready. This is an advanced practice, which is why I'm saying before you even consider to do anything, work on your breath, work on your breath work, do the 7-day breath work challenge, okay? We're gonna be fire for 7 days, okay? So, okay, try it, okay? 5 minutes, 60 seconds, 3 minutes, okay? I don't want you pushing yourself, all right? I am not responsible for anyone passing out with this. I'm not responsible for anyone hyperventilating with this. No, I need you to do your own research first. I'm just a girl who follows her dragons, sharing with you what I've learned. But what I have learned is that the fundamental bottom line of the Draconian practice or Drakonian Current and reaching the state of Draconian Arcanum is 110% number one, breath work. You need to master the breath. You need to understand that it's a gateway. And you need to understand how to properly balance your breath within your body. Yes, you're not breathing correctly. You never have, probably, because you were never taught how to breathe properly. I know, that's a crazy concept. What do you mean I've never been breathing properly? I've been doing it my whole life. Yeah, I know. You've been doing it wrong your whole life. Chances are you're tired all the time. It's because the bottom parts of your lungs, they don't see oxygen anymore, okay? You got a sedentary lifestyle, okay? You're not dilating those veins in the lungs. You're not dilating the thingies, okay? The little air sac things, okay? Forget the name off the top of my head. I know it starts with an A. I know it does, okay? But it's really simple, okay? So final part of the class today, all right, my friends? It is breath work. And I'm going to tell you when you start, I'm going to need you guys to start slowly. Do not start at the speed that I did, okay? You're gonna go. And I just really need you to focus on being as in rhythm as you possibly can. Fill your lungs in as much as you can. The reason why we do 2 breaths in is because your first time you are not filling your lungs all the way. You want to take in that second breath to really expand your lungs one more time, and then you push it all out. And however you want to imagine it too, right? Like when I do it, I imagine I am breathing in the blessings of the universe and I'm exhaling all of the negative energy, belief systems, and things that make me anxious that no longer serve me. And this has always been what worked for me ever since I've had this like Kundalini experience. So that is essentially how I tasted the breath of the dragons. And this is essentially our first episode of Drakonian Current 101. So please do leave a comment down below. Let me know what you want to learn about the Draconian path and the Draconian Current and Draconian Arcanum. I'm more happy to answer every question that you guys have. And if you have maybe a little bit more curiosity in you, don't forget to check out the Hatchling Clan Discord server. It is the first link in the description down below. A community just for you, especially if you love dragons, to learn about religion, spirituality, and faith-based practices of the world while you discover the magic within yourself. And the hatchlings over there, we would love to just meet you, okay? There's over 300 of us and we adore all of you, all right? It's really the coziest little spot on the internet and you're not gonna wanna miss out. But stay tuned because tomorrow we will be deep diving into the rise of alterhuman identity with Theron and Otherkin and Dragonkin 101. And I can't wait to see you guys tomorrow. Please let me know how much you loved today's episode or how insane you thought it was. I would love to hear all of your guys' wonderful perspectives deep down below in the comment section. But until next time, stay geeky, cheeky, yeah, freaky little hatchling. Okay, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'll see you very soon. And in the Hatchling Clan, don't forget to click that link down below. But Kadafis, blessed be, Amin.
We'll see you back next time for your day.